UAYEB. What does this spell? UAYEB. Or maybe UAYEB. Or maybe UAYEB. In any case, it's the name of the game I'm talking about today, and it's also the name of the main character in the game, which is an odd choice, because UAYEB is the Mayan desire god known as the sexy snail god of misfortune, a notably drunken sex maniac who is morally ambiguous. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with the game. I'm just trying to set the tone for what you're about to see, because some of this gets really weird. For example, let's take a look at the control layout we're given. Now, most of it's fine, you know, WASD, using the mouse to look around, that's fine, whatever. But there's a few unique ones in here. For example, teleportation to the cryogenic capsule. How do we do that? Oh, that's F2. Good, I'm glad we have a button for that. Also, if needed, Alt-Shift to change your keyboard to QWERTY. It's already QWERTY. Tab to hide/unhide weapon, if only we had a word for that. And finally, we can press escape for the in-game menu. I'd quite like to see the out-of-game menu. Thank you very much. And you don't have much time to recover from that before you are given this opening cinematic. I'm just gonna let it play out in full because it's fascinating. Now, I have said it before and I will say it again. Every good game starts with a coughing fit and a kind of black screen with a bunch of dirt on it and a decapitated head falling out of a tiny temple. But anyway, once you're finished coughing, we get a bit of voice acting. Let's just hear it. Let's get it out of the way.
What? I can't see anything. What's going on here? What the fuck? Oh, it's freezing. I'm so cold.
Now, many of you will be quick to judge this voice acting and say it's really not that good. And yes, for game voice acting, it's not great. However, if this was in a theater production or maybe a short film, something like that, it may be fine. And that makes sense because Martin Luke, the guy who did the voice, was in theater and short film. That's his thing. Doesn't translate into game voice acting though. Not even slightly, good god. Eventually the black screen with all the dirt goes away and you can see, and it turns out you're just in the Fallout 4 intro, whatever, that's cool. But you do get to pick up a book. And it's not a regular book, oh no. It's the Book of Tips! Now this book says something very important, and that's the bit under interaction. To interact with something, you have to be very close to it. Basically, it's not what you are looking at that will display the interaction icon, but when you are close enough to the interaction, like around 1 meter around it. I wish I'd paid attention to that, because if I had, I would have been able to slightly alleviate one of the most annoying mechanics in any game I've encountered, which is trying to find out how to interact with things you know you can interact with. For example, I'll walk up to a light switch. I can do nothing about it. I move slightly to the right. Now I can do something about it. That might sound like a minor issue, but this happens with almost every interaction in the game, and this is like an adventure puzzle game, so there's a lot of that going on. Like, several times a minute this happens, and God, it's bad. The first puzzle in the game is one of those lead the pipe to the other pipe type dealies. Now, traditionally, in those, you're given a grid of squares. It's the same in this. But usually, you don't have to use every single one of them. In this, you have to use every single square. And it's a grid bigger than most others. And also, the interaction thing I was just talking about, that factors in here. Because when you put your mouse over the square, sometimes it activates a different one. And then you don't know which one it activated, and you have to do the whole thing again, and it takes like 20 minutes. But then you finish it, and you get to leave the little Fallout 4 room, and now you're into a house. I don't know if this is a house. It looks kind of weird. Whatever, it's a house. Let's call it that. But there's a very, very big problem, and that problem is you are quite chilly. You've just been coming out of a big frozen tub of stuff. Yeah, you're quite cold. So, quiz question. What do you do when you're cold? Do you A, put on some clothes? B, go outside into the hot Central American sun? Or do you C, look for a shower? Now I would have thought any of these three would have done. But no. You have to shower first. And, quick note, this is based 100 years after civilization has ended. And we still have central heating in this house. Good stuff. Let's carry on. After you've had a nice toasty little shower and you put on some clothes, you pick up a laptop, and on the laptop you receive a message, and oh my god, listen to this voice acting right here.
Hey there, my friend. I hope that you remember me. I'm Joanna, and you're in my house right now. It's normal if you don't remember everything from the past. You've been cryogenized for 100 years.
She sounds like she's about to start a top 15 list of creepy things. You see, with the last guy, with Martin Luke, the voice actor for your protagonist, I can understand where some of the voice quality is. This one I can't. Like, oh god, this is System Shock levels of voice acting.
We're finished. Keith and the others went down the access corridor an hour ago to fight the mutants. None of them have come back.
And while I'm on the topic of the voice acting, I just want to say, Martin Luke, the guy who voices UAYEB, I start to really enjoy his voice acting, and I really like the character he brings to it, because while it is a bit, not suited for a video game, there's just something contagiously friendly about the way he speaks. I love it.
I can't take this. The backpack's already full to the brim. Poor girl.
Also, if you look at their website, look at how much he wrote about his character. That's great. Catabel, the one who did Joanna, the one you just heard, she wrote 3 lines. He wrote a goddamn essay. I'm just gonna stop it here and say that while editing this, I realized I was kind of harsh on Catabel, the woman who voiced the top 15's person. So I went and checked out more of her work. And I will say, the rest of her work and all the demo reels and stuff she has on her website, they're all much better than her performance in this game. So I don't know if it was just the voice direction or whatever else, but yeah, continue. So yeah, you get that message, you mute the audio, and then you take a look around the house. And immediately something I noticed is this product placement, or lack of product placement. Look at all these recognizable brands like Hiska cat food and Warburturno bread. And who could forget the famous toothpaste, Olgat? At some point in your journey of rifling through cat food and bread, you'll eventually come across a gun. And this leads me to the very reason I'm deciding to make a video about this game, because it's a mechanic so wonderful, I just have to share it. I'll set the scene for you. That guy down there, he's a baddie. He's got a shooter and he wants to shoot you, but you've also got a shooter, so you're gonna shoot him. Watch how this plays out.
Those explosives?
I don't think that's how people work. I mean, we thought it was kind of weird in 2018 when we saw kids eating Tide Pods. Well, in 2119, apparently the adults are all drinking kerosene, so, buckle up, cowboys, the future's coming fast. And no, it's not just this enemy that explodes when you kill him. It's every single one of them. They all just pop when they die. I don't know why. Initially, I played this game like a year ago, and as soon as I killed the first enemy, I just stopped playing. 'Cause I didn't know how much weirder it was gonna get. Luckily, I came back to it and I discovered it doesn't really get any stranger. But still, God, that caught me off guard when it happened. Good lord. Once you get a gun and you're able to kill people, you're finally able to leave the house and enter into the world. But when you do leave the house, you get a message, and it's a message that really confuses me. So I need to set this up first. The general story of UAYEB is that the world didn't end in 2012 like the Mayans said, but rather stuff like climate change and political corruption led us to a point of no return, so society basically collapsed. You've been frozen for 100 years, now you're coming out. people explode now, whatever, everything's covered in sand, that's cool. But the game is very, you know, anti-climate change, which is, you know, fine, whatever. But in this one message you get, it openly criticizes the use of nuclear resources, which is one of the cleanest forms of non-renewable energy, which doesn't release any carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and as such is pretty good for the environment, you know, toxic waste aside. So, I don't really know what they're trying to say here. But then again, people explode, so I'm not really looking for answers anymore. Well, actually, maybe I'm looking for one answer, and that is, why do I have a teleport device? We're in 2119, not 2583. Why can I teleport? That doesn't seem right. And why can the Mayans, who died hundreds of years ago, why can they just, you know, stop that by using magnets? Okay, no, you know what? Never mind. People explode. Doesn't matter. Once you're finally able to free roam the area and have a look around this big desert, you're sent a message by Joanna, which is basically just a bunch of trivia about her house.
My house was built in 2017 on an underground river. I think the river flows into a cave that was used by the Mayans.
Like, you know, there's a time and a place for trivia, Joanna. There's exploding men around. I'm being attacked by mosquitoes, Joanna. Do you think your goddamn trivia can wait? Unfortunately, this brings us to the second quiz question of the day. The question being, what do you do when you're allowed into the big open world? Do you A, look for a settlement? Do you B, look for some kind of exploration place like a cave? Or do you C, go back to the house and take a dip in the pool? You already know the answer. God damn it. I decided just to, you know, avoid that for the time being and take a look around the world, which turned out to be a mistake, because if you want to go into any of the caves, you need to go into the swimming pool and do the puzzle there, otherwise the caves just don't open. But I did find some cotton, which let me create a bandage, and when I created a bandage, UAYEB said this.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Now that's a very nice concept, but UAYEB, you just made an ounce of cure. A bandage is not the prevention. You don't go down a big slide of razor blades and say, you know what, I'm gonna bandage myself up before this, just in preparation. No, you put on the bandages after you've been sliced up, UAYEB. It's not a prevention. It is a cure. You know what, I can't stay mad at that voice. I just can't. He sounds like he's about to start talking about World of Warcraft lore. I feel like I've been criticizing this game a lot without saying many good things about it. Well, I found one of the really good things, and I mean that completely unironically. It's not like the exploding guys this time. They added dune surfing. As in, if you run at a sand dune and slide, you'll just keep going. And just take a look at the pace you can pick up by doing this. Like, good god, you go fast as hell. UAYEB, you're gonna need a couple of pounds of cure after this. I don't think you have any skin left, but either way, this is great. And it's also kind of necessary, because there is a lot of desert in this game and not a lot of other ways to get around. If you just want to run everywhere, you're gonna be there for some time. I mean, even with the dune surfing, you still spend a lot of time just kind of roaming around. If you're me, that is. If you do everything the game says, including going back and doing the swimming pool puzzle, you get places a little bit faster. But even then, there's a lot of just walking in a desert. It's pretty slow-paced at the beginning. Eventually, I gave in to the game's demands and used my teleport device to go back to the swimming pool area. And, okay, here's another quiz question. You have a swimming pool in your house. How do you get to it? Option A, the door. Option B, the other door. Option C, I don't know, maybe a ladder. Or option D, a big sliding wooden panel that activates every time you do anything, and when you turn around it closes, so you have to put the thing in the right thing so it stays open, otherwise it keeps slamming shut, and it keeps all the neighbors up, but you've got no neighbors because you live in the middle of a desert, and goddammit, an ounce of cure. Okay. There's this weird puzzle you have to do, where you have to put a fuse in a box. When you put the fuse in the fuse box, this floor jams. I don't know what it does. When you turn around, it shuts. So you have to put the fuse in the right thing and it stays open. And that's how you get to the swimming pool. I don't know why this house is the way it is. It's full of cat food. There's puzzles in it. The windows are huge and all broken. Somehow there's loads of vegetation in it, despite it being in a desert. And it's got a teleporting cryogenic chamber in the basement. Now, is it just my house that doesn't have these things? Like, I have some cat food, but the rest of it just seems kind of abstract to me. Anyway, you go down into the swimming pool, and you receive this message. I'm just gonna play it and prepare your ears.
tell me, but I am writing you to help you. I know that this woman, Joanna, is driving you from one point to another like a puppet.
Yeah, I did nothing to that audio. That's just how it sounds. And that's the voice you're meant to trust. Good. Let's go to the bottom of this swimming pool and do some maths. So you solve the pool puzzle, it opens up a big hole, you swim in the hole, you drown because you forgot you had a flashlight and couldn't find any air. So you retry, you swim through it again. It takes a long time, but it's actually pretty good, it's kind of suspenseful. And then you arrive at this big mountain of stuff, you climb to the top, you pick up the golden thing, you die, you try again, you pick up the golden thing from a different angle, you don't die, you try to leave, there's this staircase of razors, that's pretty cool. You get to the top of it, there's an Indiana Jones boulder, you just get hit by it and not much happens, and then you leap out of a big thing into some water. Now, you can probably tell by my voice, but at this point I was getting kind of fatigued by the game, not because it's bad, and I do want to talk for a few minutes actually about how much I enjoyed the game, but first, I was getting fatigued because it's a lot of work, this game. With the weird interaction thing you have to do with everything, the platforming's kind of weird, the movement's a bit clunky, the gunplay's fine, I suppose, but strange, and there's a lot of moving parts to the game. And I think I went into it expecting a very sort of small-scale indie game, and that's not what I got. What I ended up getting was an extremely ambitious puzzle-adventure game that was created by one man. That's insane to me that one man was able to create all of this. Like, forget how much I've criticized the game, and forget all the weird things I've mentioned. The fact that one person has made all of this themselves, I mean, I'm sure most of the assets are shared from other CryEngine titles, but whatever. That doesn't change the fact that this is really quite an achievement. And I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised, because if you look at the games that the creator, Francis Courcheneau, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, I don't speak French. Looking at the games he's worked on in the past, he has quite a record. He's got Half-Life, Half-Life Blue Shift, Warcraft 3, Blood Rain, Alien vs Predator, one of the Crash Bandicoot games, Scarface. He's got a lot of stuff under his wing. Now, his website doesn't specify what roles he used in each of these games, but regardless, that's quite a resume. And you can see while playing UAYEB, there is so much potential there. Honestly, I think if the same guy had created a game that was smaller in scope, it would have been amazing. Because honestly, I don't think it's a great idea to make an open-world puzzle action-adventure game by yourself. You know, he's really set his own goals extremely high. If he had done a more focused project, I think we would have been able to see a lot more of his own talent shine through. And a lot of that does shine through in UAYEB. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy UAYEB. For all of its oddities and strangeness, it's a really fun game, and it's oddly engaging. Anyway, let's get back to the weird stuff. I found this massive mountain of sulfur, and I tried to mine some of it, because you can mine stuff in the game, and yeah, it turns out you can only mine a tiny amount of it. I went to mine it, and I got 5 sulfur points, or whatever unit it uses, when this tiny bit of lead next to me gave me 14 lead. You're telling me this mountain gave me almost a third of the amount of stuff as this tiny pile right here. Frankly, I find that difficult to believe. And then I realized if you want to get more sulfur, you have to run around through all of the sulfur that you can clearly see until eventually you come across an arbitrarily placed interaction thing where you can get some more sulfur. And I mean, looking at this mountain, I think I'd be able to find a bit more sulfur a bit easier than that. You know, there's a big chunk there, another big chunk. In fact, this is more sulfur than any man would ever need. I've never used this much sulfur. That being said, I don't think I've ever used sulfur. And I don't even know why I'm mining this sulfur, but at this point, it's a point of principle. I see all of this sulfur and I want all of it. It's not gonna let me have all of it, but I'm gonna try, goddammit. Once you grab the golden thing from the pool puzzle area, you're told to go and find the city, and you're told to find it by following the roads. Now, that's fine, I follow the road until suddenly, oh no, it splits off in twain. Well, that's fine, I'll just follow one of the roads until it leads to a dead end. But there's an issue with that logic, because both roads end in a dead end. And the game has the cheek to tell me that I'm going the wrong way. I think I'm aware of that, thank you very much. Turns out what you're meant to do is just keep walking past the dead end, over this mound of sand until you find the road again somewhere else. You do that like 3 more times, and suddenly you find a town. The first real settlement you found. Excellent. I slide down the hill, I accidentally ramp up over a fence into a locked part of the city, and have to load a save from 15 minutes ago. God damn it. I have to do all that road business again, and then when I get to the city, the residents don't like me so much, they start shooting at me, whatever, big deal. At this point, I'm just happy to see some more exploding people. Anyway, that really horrible message from earlier, the one that sounded like this.
Hello. You don't know me, but I am writing you to help you.
Yeah, that told me to go into this building here. So let's go in and find out if the nice person with the nice voice was a nice man. Oh no, he was not a nice man. It was a trap. Who could have guessed? And for the final time in this episode, I have a quiz question for you. That quiz question being, how do you escape this trap? Option A, run forward to those doors. Option B, try to shoot down the turrets. Or option C, just kind of turn around and walk away. Yeah, it's that one. It's that one. Yeah, it's that one. I'm gonna end the episode here. I'm ending it on a bit of a low note, but at the same time, I do maintain what I said earlier. I enjoy this game. I'm gonna be playing more of it. I might not record it. But in any case, I just wanted to say how impressed I am that this was made by one guy. And a couple of voice actors. It's genuinely impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the guy does next. That being said, this game is weird as hell, and I'm so glad I found it. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I'll assume I do more stuff like this. I've got a few more weird games to talk about. But for now, goodbye.
Fuck! This is a trap! I gotta get out of here!